Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. For young men under 25, women in the age range 27 to 35 can be very appealing. These women are generally more organised and less chaotic. The life experience that these women bring can be very refreshing. If you are a young man, mature for your age, you may appreciate this maturity in women. However, there are dangers and risks associated with dating women around this age. Let me expand on some of the key reasons why you should avoid dating a woman who has hit or is about to hit the wall. Firstly, we need to clarify what the wall is. The concept of the wall comes from sport. Older athletes hit the wall at the time that they become aware that their aging bodies lose their competitive edge against the younger athletes in the competition. For women in the sexual marketplace, it is the point that a woman becomes aware that she has lost her competitive edge over the younger women in the sexual marketplace. The key takeaway is that it is the point that a woman becomes conscious of her waning sexual market value. An oblivious woman, unaware of her declining sexual market value, does not pose an immediate danger, although the threat looms in the future. This realisation usually occurs between 27 to 31, but can vary depending on how well a woman looks after herself and how self-aware a woman is of her own sexual market value. A woman hits the wall at the moment that she realises this is her reality. It is at this point that a woman is forced to accept her real sexual market value as it declines further. Here are the dangers of dating these women. Danger number 1. Women who have hit the wall are in a constant state of anxiety. They enter this state of anxiety because they begin to realise that they cannot compete with the new crop of 18-year-old women coming into their peak years. They are also anxious because it is around this age that they need to consolidate on a man before their reproductive window closes. It is this forced time, combined with the realisation that they cannot attract the attention of the men that they once had, and still believe that they are entitled to, that causes this panic. Women who have hit the wall will seek men their own age, or younger, who are unaware of their future value. Men encountering this attraction for the first time will often convince themselves that it's genuine and organic. Unfortunately, it is an attraction born of necessity, targeted at filling biological urges that are nearing their expiration date. Danger number 2. The frame and future of any relationship built on this foundation is compromised from the very beginning. Women at this stage of their life need to cash out of the sexual marketplace with the highest value man as soon as possible before their value declines any further. They will settle on a slightly lower value man, unaware of his future value, if he shows solid potential. Over time, if you do not live up to her expectations or previous experiences, it will cause you significant relationship problems. What will eventually happen in these relationships is that you will begin to become the target of her resentment. She resents you because you are not the best option that she could have consolidated on just a few years earlier. These women are effectively widowed from the high-value men that they once got attention from in their mid-20s. Unfortunately, there is the very real possibility that a woman's unconscious regret could be projected onto you in order to alleviate her suffering. She does this to maintain her sense of self and preserve her ego. It is his fault for not living up to the potential that he showed, and not my fault for failing to capitalise on my sexual agency when it was at its peak. Most likely, this woman harbours additional psychological repressions that could cause you plenty of issues down the track. Danger number 3. Another common behaviour seen in these women is that they will hold out on sleeping with you in the early phases of the relationship, even if they want to have sex. You will need to invest more time and finances into these women in order to get them to sleep with you, and this kind of sex is never worth the investment. A woman seeking a man to have children with can't afford to be involved in casual flings, so by holding out on sex, she quickly filters for men looking for long-term commitment. Women battling the anxiety of never having children have a fear of being used for casual sex. The anxiety causes her to hold out on you, and hence she will be harder to have sex with. She might even play up her chastity, implying that she is and has always been conservative. Realise that she is only saying this because on some level of consciousness, she realises that her chastity is a lucrative quality for a long-term commitment. Most likely, these women were the same women that were promiscuous in their peak years. Understand that your time is better invested into younger women in their peak years who give freely of themselves with no ulterior motives. Danger number 4. There is a high risk of accidental pregnancy. One of a woman's biggest fears is having a high-value man who she invested her sexual agency in leave her after her sexual agency has declined. A woman's hypergamy drives her to achieve her best potential, but doesn't want to risk a prolonged personal investment if a man's sexual market value could rise so far above her own that he leaves her. A woman aware of her waning sexual market value realises that a loss in her current investment will cost her more sexual agency. A man who won't commit to her is a large source of anxiety. This is why women are so proud to declare to their girlfriends that they are engaged. They are released from their anxiety because they have secured a long-term commitment. A workaround for a man who doesn't commit is to trap him into committing by accidentally becoming pregnant. I talked about the many methods by which a woman can do this in the last episode. All of these methods can be avoided by controlling the birth control. Unfortunately, with these women, you need to be on a high state of alert, and the mental effort that this consumes can become exhausting. Prevention is better than cure. The best method is to avoid these women entirely. How you know that you are associating with a woman who has hit the wall is that her communication will become more direct. Whether dating or in a long-term relationship, she is forced to ask questions regarding your future intentions. Her usual methods of hinting and insinuation will not be enough to get you to understand her intentions before it's too late. In the sexual marketplace, these women will rush the dating phase of the relationship. They begin actively pursuing men rather than letting men come to her as she did in her peak years. These women will engage in intense job interview style first dates, targeted at evaluating your suitability as a secure provider for her future children. She will demand that you commit to her long term and fast. She does this so that she can move on quickly to minimise further decline. Most likely, she will straight up ask you on the first date if you are ready to have children now. She wants babies and fast. She will have babies with any high value man that will take her, and she will behave in any way that supports this outcome. This is known as baby rabies. These women are dangerous. Women start to become possessed, and their biological urges turn active. The most extreme form of their manipulation is an ultimatum: marry me or I'm gone. Ultimatums are a declaration of powerlessness. If your emotional state prior to the ultimatum is fragile, it will most often result in your compliance. You should never ever accept any terms of an ultimatum ever, period. I will unpack ultimatums and other various forms of manipulation in a future episode. If you commit to these women, as the marriage matures, most of the time these women will realise that you are not who they want to spend the rest of their life with. The majority of these relationships make up the bulk of divorces in the Western world, so I know these relationships aren't genuine. These women initiate divorce proceedings in order to pursue a man that she can coexist with on a practical level that best satisfies her long-term requirements, be it social, physical, sexual, emotional, or any other unique in-depth desire. This change will happen as soon as a woman is aware that her reproductive window is closed, as soon as she no longer desires any more children, or until the difficult period of the child rearing is complete, usually between 35 and 42. These women feel entitled to have children with the highest value man that they can attract financially, and they'll do whatever it takes to get that, including and most probably doing it at your expense. Just because women of this age are experiencing biological urges to have children does not mean that you have to feel the same way. Don't feel guilted into partaking in their charade. You can have babies well into your 70s. Don't fear being ostracised because you don't align with the expected social conventions. Oftentimes, there are reasons an older woman is not married. If you look hard enough, you will find it. Women who have hit the wall were not picked up in their 20s because they had too many issues, were too busy riding the cock carousel, or passed on everyone because they had a deluded sense of entitlement. Alternatively, they passed on everyone because they believed their sexual marketability had no expiration date. They genuinely believed that they could just pick a man when the desire to settle down outweighed the desire to have fun. If they passed up relationships with good men in their peak years, then you can be sure that they will be unsatisfied with you. Understand that her sexual market value has declined since then, and you are not the best man that she could have had. By 30, all the quality women are married off, and what's left are the scraps. Another thing to consider is that older women are generally more emotionally compromised by layers of emotional protection built up over years of dating the wrong men. These issues, if left unresolved, which they generally are, will often come out in unconscious and destructive ways. Should you take no heed of this recommendation, a good strategy to dating these women is to widen your relationship to time and slow it down. Time is your best ally. Eventually, it will reveal her true character and what she is after. This will help you to determine if she is in it for the right reasons or just to satisfy her biological urge to reproduce. If you are a young man in your 20s, understand that you haven't yet reached your peak sexual market value. You will enter into it in the coming years. Make sure that you aren't overwhelmed by the attention of women who have hit the wall. Do not take your first option. Be aware that a woman's long-term security and provisioning acquirement depends on a man never fully coming into awareness of his future sexual market value until after a woman can consolidate on his commitment to her. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 31, I'll be addressing toxic masculinity. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.